Communication, the natural pursuit or act of man to understand one another. Throughout the years, the decades, and the centuries in fact, communication has played a big role in humanity's success. That is, if you would consider where we are now as successful. With these, we can undoubtedly say that communication is important. As the famous saying goes, communication is key. Well, as a matter of fact, it is. In fact, we literally do it every day. Even right now, the way I'm speaking in front of you, the way you're looking at your seatmates, the way you're talking to them, the way you're looking at me or listening, it's all communication. But ironically, and sadly, people these days tend to avoid communication because of fear of rejection, social anxiety, or even shyness. And this not only causes what we call a communication breakdown, but it also hinders us from becoming a better and understanding society. So that's why I'm here to talk about why we should communicate more often. So for communication to be used effectively, or to be maximized, it has to be used effectively. But how do we attain or achieve effective communication? Well, as a matter of fact, effective communication requires the combination of a certain set of skills. And these set of skills include using proper non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication. It's not always the voice that pertains to the message. It's the overall act. It's how we move. It's how we appear. Engaged listening, which is what I hope you're undergoing right now with my speech. Try to listen. Try to understand every detail of the conversation. And lastly, have the capacity to understand the situation, the environment, and the mood of the conversation process. You wouldn't crack a joke at a funeral speech or tell about the recent breakup to your newly proposed friend, now would you? So this is what we want, to understand one another, effective communication. But how come some people are still ironically avoiding communication despite the fact that effective communication is what we need? This is because, like most of us, they want to avoid what we call a communication breakdown. And a communication breakdown is the instance wherein both parties, like for example me and you the audience, completely misconceive, misinterpret, or misunderstand the intended message. In other words, both parties don't get what they're saying, don't get what they want to tell to one another. And indeed, this is a very misfortunate occurrence, a lackluster happening that we all want to avoid. So how come? But this should never serve as an excuse as to why we avoid communicating with others. Because there is a way to overcome it. There is a solution. And that simple solution is simply extend the communication process by prolonging the conversation. But how? How does prolonging the conversation end or overcome a communication breakdown? Easy. First, ask for clarifications, repetitions, or rephrase statements into something the person you're talking to could understand more. And use more nonverbal language. It's never bad to use more nonverbal language. More. And lastly, you could build on what others have said or reference. Something that the person you're talking to or something that you would better understand. A better concept. Now, communicating more often can help enhance and train our capabilities in communicating. Each conversation serves as a building block, and each building block is like an experience. Each experience that builds up makes you a better, effective communicator. It makes you avoid communication breakdowns. Now, I'd like to show this slide here, which is an example of a reference, which is a way of overcoming a communication breakdown, just in case it has already occurred between me and some of you, the audience. So person one is considered an effective communicator. Why? Because even though he has a number of 22 communication breakdowns, which is, by the way, a symbolic figure, he still managed to have 100 good conversations, and his last communication breakdown was at his 30th. While person two as of now, is not considered as an effective communicator because his last conversation was still a communication breakdown. And yet, I am sure that if he tries to be like person one and communicate more often, he will eventually end up being an effective communicator. That is why communicating more often is important. So to sum it all up, communication is all about its efficiency and effectiveness. But there is absolutely no reason as to why we should shy away from it. Because its process only enhances our skills. It only makes us better. And I'd like all of us to think about this. Proper communication is the solution to most, if not all, problems. Think about it.